Booyah, what a time to break that one out here. Welcome to RacingNews.com. I'm Magic. I got here with Aaron Halterman and Jared Welch. We got breaking news. Bob Baffert has officially transferred his best horses and then also another one to different trainers trying to get them into the Kentucky Derby. Aaron, I'll go to you first. What do you think about this news?
I love it. I own Messier in the fantasy league, and I love it. And I've been preaching to the choir that he's the number one horse and he's going to win the Derby. So the fact that Messier gets to have a shot to run in it is fantastic. I mean, what's going to happen? We got to win, obviously, the Santa Anita Derby, or I guess when you're second, he would still be in it. And we're in. So it's great news, and it's good news for horse racing. Look, whether you love Baffert, hate Baffert, whatever, you want the best horses in the crop at that current moment running in the Kentucky Derby, no matter who has them. So it's great that these horses are going to be there. In the end, it was a game of chicken, right, Magic? We talked about this for months. Who's gonna flinch first? Baffert, the owners, Churchill Downs. In the end, the owners had to flinch. They made the decision to make a change here. So to me, everybody wins in this situation.
And I believe the breaking news comes from John Sherwood. At least this is where I saw it first for the LA Times. And the three horses that are going to Tim Yaktine, a former assistant of Baffert, he's sending Doppelganger, Messier, and McLaren Vale. All three horses, I think, might be going to the Santa Anita Derby, which makes sense. Yaktine is still based in California. Rudy Brissett is getting Blackadder, the horse that won the El Camino Real Derby and is qualified automatically for the Preakness Stakes. Makes sense to send him to Rudy. Maybe he'll keep training on synthetic at Turfway or at Keeneland to get ready for that. Jared, with those three horses, let's focus on their staying with Yaktine there. What does this tell you about their chances in the Santa Anita Derby and then, of course, to the Triple Crown?
Well, once the news came out, whatever it was, that earlier this week or last week, I don't remember, with basically Churchill and the judge basically denying, or basically confirming everything that Churchill Downs had put in place, I thought, okay, something's about to happen. Because now that was like the last ditch effort. I didn't expect to have multiple horses. I kind of thought it'd be just Messier. Now it is all part of the same ownership group, which kind of makes sense. Messier obviously is an easy one. Best horse in the crop. We've kind of said that for a long time. Doppelganger has been serviceable, and he feels like he can still get that horse in the Kentucky Derby. Makes sense. McLaren Vale was an interesting one. I think this is the one that's most, it's like he must like this one a lot because this horse has literally done nothing, and it's March 24th, and he's so obviously the horse has some sort of plans. The horse keeps trying to run in a race and then can't ship or whatever, and so you imagine the horse is staying put. I'm going to run in the Santa Anita Derby, I guess. So obviously the horse is doing well, and he likes the horse. So that was the interesting one for me. But shit, he might. I mean, I guess he could get three horses in the Derby now. And let's be honest, like it might say Yaktine, but everyone's going to know who trains these horses.
Yeah.
Mike Somich joining us now. Mike, your initial reaction to hearing this Baffert training or sending three of his trainees to Tim Yaktine and then one to Rudy Brissett?
Pretty surprised and interested to see what the counter move here is from CDI now, because obviously we all know these are still Baffert horses, as does CDI, and we'll see if they try and throw a blow right back to him. But I agree with Jared. I'm surprised McLaren Vale's on here. The other two make total sense, or other three make total sense, but that one was a little off-putting.
Of course, the PR machine that Baffert has hired, the crisis management team, they sent out their own thing just now. And it's a lot of bullshit, but basically we're telling you the same thing. We're cutting right through it. Let us know if you guys are watching, by the way, what you're thinking about it. This is going to be a fun show to kind of talk about things. Let's go back to you, Aaron. Santa Anita Derby now just a couple of weeks away, and it was looking like it was going to be Forbidden Kingdom versus Messier anyways. So now, if you're a Forbidden Kingdom supporter, knowing that Messier is now going to be eligible for Derby points, are you a little bit more scared?
Well, I think you're scared anyway. No matter for that race, what's it matter if he was going to get Derby points or not? He's still going to smoke you. So, I guess you're equally as scared. If I'm Epicenter, if I'm White Barrio, if I'm, go down the list of the top horses without the Bafferts, now I'm scared. I'll say that. I think Forbidden Kingdom is scared more of the Kentucky Derby than the Santa Anita Derby. He's had to deal with him anyway. So, listen, that's going to be the big test, right? I mean, what if they transfer him and Forbidden Kingdom was to beat him? Well, then all of a sudden you've done it for no reason, really. I guess you can just go right back. But yeah, I mean, I think the losers, I said at the first, everybody wins. Well, no, the losers are the other horses that thought they could dodge him. It's not going to happen now for the Kentucky Derby as long as things go to plan. So, but listen, the Forbidden Kingdom thing, he's been really good. It's going to be a showdown, Santa Anita Derby. I was on record saying, hell, that might be better than the Kentucky Derby if Messier doesn't get to run in Kentucky. So that's not going to be the case now. But, all the same, really, for Forbidden Kingdom. But the rest of this crop, it's a big because the monster is going to be unleashed in Kentucky, assuming that he runs as well as he did in the Robert B. Lewis.
Mark brings up a good point here. And this is something I was preaching when Mike Somich and I would do the Kentucky Derby future wager pools discussions about all others and how some of it is still being bet. And we're like, who is this that's being bet? At some point, we're like, is it the fillies? And I kept saying, you're betting it if you think Baffert is going to get a horse in. And he's got 3 or 4 of them that are going to go to this. So yes, all others in all of the future wagers, that's Baffert horses now. So Messier. So if you've got one of those tickets at 3-1, 4-1, you got to be feeling pretty good, right, Mike?
Well, it's just funny. We keep referring to them as Baffert horses, but they're no longer Baffert horses. And if if we keep saying Baffert horses, then they're not technically eligible for points to run in Derby. But like, again, we all know kind of how this is going to go. You got to be feeling great if you have a future wager with all others. You got to be feeling great if you have a future exacta with all others or double into the Oaks with all others, because I think it was 6-1 in the last pool, and it was all hinging on whether or not A, obviously Secret Oath and what happens there, and B, if you're going to get any of these Baffert horses transferring into a different place and seeing them run in the Derby. I mean, it's just, this makes it even more interesting. I was excited for the Derby before. I think this actually steps it up a little bit, because not having Messier in there was going to be kind of a bummer, because he is probably the best horse that we've seen. Injects even more pace into this Derby, which should make that even more interesting with the front end movement. And it makes Santa Anita Derby a lot more interesting as well, because now you have both Doppelganger and Messier who need to finish most likely in the top 3, maybe top 2 to be able to get into the Derby.
Yeah, now that we have the Baffert horses that could earn points, the former Baffert horses can earn the points there. It's a little bit harder. You're going to need probably at least 20 points to get into the Derby. Now, Jared, I'll go back to you. Chris brings up an interesting point, and you are our eternal optimist in the group, so this is a great question for you. Chris says, how crappy is horse racing going to look when Messier gets transferred back to Baffert for the Breeders' Cup, Jared?
All right, let's run through it's very possible to happen here. Messier wins the Kentucky Derby for Yakatine, which everyone in racing will know Bob Baffert won another Kentucky Derby. Let's not forget, Baffert will train this horse. I mean, he'll have a say in everything that's happening with this horse up until basically they get to Churchill Downs, right? So it's not, I mean, especially the Derby, I feel like it's still going to be Bob Baffert, although it may not be on paper. Second, he might have, like, we always kind of thought this this whole time that, okay, maybe he's just going to run Preakness. He's going to have 10 horses in the Preakness. Well, we know that, a few are going to be in there probably. Taba is one horse that we don't know. Maybe that's a horse. Like, this guy could potentially win, and it's not really a stretch, like 2 of the 3 legs of the Triple Crown this year, after a year of being like, oh, he's banned and we can't run him and he can't, like this horse, he can't come to Churchill and blah, blah, blah. He might win 2 of the 3 legs. And like is mentioned up here, then he'll be transferred back. Messier will probably have a hell of the second half of the year. Because, I mean, the dude's been lightly raced so far. So, I mean, I think, like, everyone, that's the thing. No one, even if he wins and they do all this coverage on the Derby, like, it's all going to be talked about how this is the Baffert horse who was just transferred to Yakatine. And then especially if we fast forward the Breeders' Cup and the coverage is there, well, now he's with Baffert and this is the horse that won the Derby. And it's like nothing really changed, right? We all know what it was. And so really, I think Bob Baffert, he won. Like, he won this big time.
Well, what happens if let's say Messier wins the Derby and then Yakatine transfers him back to Baffert for the Preakness? And all of a sudden, he's a Baffert horse in the Preakness. Baffert doesn't run anyone against him. He wins the Preakness. And then it's on Naira to say, no, Baffert, you can't run a possible Triple Crown horse in the Belmont. Or you could just transfer back to Yakatine. It's like, it's just ridiculous that the permutations of this that could play out now.
I'd actually like to see in that scenario, just go ahead and send him to Pletcher for the Belmont. And just like, let's do the Triple Crown and let's do it with 3 different trainers. Nobody's ever done that. We've won the Triple Crown with the horse that did the Curse of Apollo. Now let's do this. This is the next big test. That's the next thing. As Dennis says, that's huge. Poison Sumac, when can these horses get to point again close? This is it. That's why the decision was made now. As Aaron said at the start of the show, it was a game of chicken, and if somebody had to break, and it was Baffert sending the horses. I don't know. They made it seem like it was Baffert, but I don't know if that was his PR machine, if the owners said you need to move these horses that are going to contend, but they're making it seem like Baffert's doing this noble thing, which is complete bullshit here. Aaron, let's see if there's something else. Do you have any other thoughts on this? I'm trying to think of more. What you got laughing about?
No, it's just that last comment was funny. They did write that article, and Baffert said, "Hey, these horses deserve it." Guys, this is not an alternate reality. He doesn't make the decision on what trainer trains these horses. He acted like he was the owner in this situation. Come on. I mean, Baffert's hand got forced a little bit here. There's no question. And I'm the happiest about this. The Kentucky Derby still matters, right? Because you had to go with what the owners were telling you by their actions. And their actions were telling you that it didn't matter. We're just going to not skip it and not transfer these horses. With today's news, it shows you the Kentucky Derby still has weight, all right? And it still carries a lot of weight for them to make these decisions. So there's no question the owners got together and said, look, we love you, Bob, but we want to run in Kentucky. We want to try to win the biggest race in the world, all right? So we love you, but see you. Messier, Doppelganger, I don't know why they transferred McLaren Vale. That's crazy to me, but it doesn't matter. They did. And so that's the great news. And we speculated for months, well, they don't care. It's breeding and all this. End of the day, that race still holds huge clout. And that's good to see because it needs to, and it should. It's the biggest race in this country, and they're not going to get to make a mockery of it. And like I said, it was a game of chicken. They finally flinched, and I'm really glad that they did.
Jared, what about you? You seem pretty deep in thought there.
Well, I was actually just sitting here trying to Photoshop a picture of Bob Baffert with a mustache on, so that way maybe he'll appear at the Belmont ready to win. You know, it's like Rob Affert or something, this new and up and coming trainer. But anyways, so I agree with everything Halterman said. It's like it is kind of good or bad. It's gonna have a lot of attention on the Derby again, and it is unfortunate a little bit that we have to keep talking about this, and this is going to be prolonged now with I'm sure Churchill. It'll be interesting to see what Churchill. I mean, they can't really do anything, but what their response is to this. I mean, everyone knows that Messier is trained by Bob Baffert, and even if Tim Yakteen wins the Kentucky Derby, everyone in history really knows who won that Kentucky Derby. And so I think, we're talking about how Bob Baffert won this, and we know how Churchill Downs is. They're not going to like this. But they had to know this is possible.
To jump in, okay, they had language in there saying it cannot be transferred to a assistant trainer. Okay?
Right.
Yep.
Tim Yakteen is a former assistant trainer. So it's the closest thing he could get to somebody that he could, quote unquote, control. Obviously,
right.
He doesn't have control over this individual, but this guy probably has a lot of respect for Bob Baffert. He will listen to whatever Bob kind of tells him to do. You wonder if they kind of, Churchill Downs will kind of dig in and try to make something of this, like find some language in the ruling somehow and be like, no, he can't do this. I think that's an interesting thought. That's something we're probably going to find out, in a couple, 2 or 3 hours. They'll come out with a statement, I would say.
That's what
I'd be shocked if they didn't try and stop this.
Yeah.
I mean, because this is exactly what they were trying to avoid. The problem here, if you're Churchill Downs and CDI, is that you know what the lead story in the Kentucky Derby will be going into it the whole week? Bob Baffert, even though he doesn't have a horse in the Derby. And that's what you're trying to avoid, is because you're saying it's detrimental to the sport. Well, guess what? This makes the sport look ridiculous if he can end up with horses after you're trying to suspend the guy. So I would be utterly shocked if CDI doesn't try and do something. Now, the effectiveness of that try is debatable, and what they will do is debatable, but they are going to try and do something. You're going to hear from them today, if not tomorrow, today. I mean, it will be soon, and it will be, hey, we're going to try and block this.
I have a funny Tim Yaktine story. Aaron was talking about it. You think that he's a friend of Baffert's. He actually got suspended and fined because he got in a fight with Richie Baltus at Clocker's Corner one morning because it was, I think, after a gamine positive. Baltus, if you don't know Richie Baltus, he likes to run his mouth a lot. And he was running his mouth about Baffert and how much of a cheater he was. And Yaktine stood up for his buddy, and they both got suspended and fined by the California Horse Racing Board. So that's how much Tim Yaktine likes Baffert. Looking at his stats, Yaktine is a 17% trainer right now. For the meet at Santa Anita. He's 18% in stakes races, but all 10 of his stakes wins the last 5 years were on turf. So be curious to see how he handles the dirt horses. But again, if you're just getting handed the reins by Bob Baffert, it doesn't really matter what your damn stats are. All you got to do is just make sure the jockey doesn't fall off. You okay, Aaron?
I'll be interested to see how he handles the dirt horse. He's not handling shit. This is a paper trainer. I don't give a damn if this guy works for Baffert still or not. Baffert's going to do all the work with these horses. They're just living over in this other guy's barn. I mean,
does Baffert get in the winner's circle for the picture
Right.
if Messier wins?
I would think so.
Because he wants to. That would be his crowning achievement if you're Bob Baffert, is getting into that winner's circle when you're not allowed to train anyone.
See, it's a feel-good story for Bob. He said, hey, I brought this guy up, my protege, he's turf horses, but look how he's done with the dirt now that I've gotten involved with him, So it's a feel-good story for everybody, right?
Speaking of feel-good stories, I saw that I think Jeremy Balin was tweeting about it, but basically if Bob Baffert, the 90-day suspension thing has come up, and if that's upheld in the state of Kentucky and then California upholds it, Bob Baffert's whole stable is gone. Like all of his artwork and his trophies he has on all of his barns goes bye-bye. He can't even have that anymore. So you talk about someone was bringing up Bob Baffert's ego and how oh yeah, there's Kevin O. In the end, even if the Baffert horse wins, his ego doesn't get the credit. So that I think is more than anything. If you find Baffert, he doesn't care. But if you fuck with his ego, that's how you get Baffert and how you really bring him down.
Yeah, I agree. And that he definitely is going to take a hit. But to me, if I'm Bob, I take the L. Just take the 90 days, get it over with, and move on. Right? I mean, I don't know why you're wasting your time and really probably your money fighting this. You already have taken the hit of everybody doesn't like you. Just get it over with and move on. That's what I would do. But I'm not him. So
you got to think he feels kind of invincible in some way, though. Yeah. I mean, he's been absolutely bulletproof through this whole process of we were talking about multiple positives and really the ramifications of it are almost non-existent at this point before everything that's happened in the last month and CDI going after him and all that jazz. But prior to that, everything that's happened at Oakland, everything that's happened in California, he got off scot-free. And so, I mean, you got to think the guy feels bulletproof in some way. And I would almost argue that if he can get Messier to win the Derby after everything that CDI has tried to do to him, he'll consider that a huge accomplishment, and that he'll be puffing his chest out, even if it's not in his barn, because everyone knows he's still the one training the horse.
Yeah.
I did think I would come back to the Bree brought up. If Messier comes up drug positive, do we blame Yaktine or Baffert?
God, that would be something.
Well, if it's positive, it's Yaktine. If the horse wins, Baffert was the one that did it. So,
see, that's the other thing. It's perfect. You brought it up, and not just with the drug thing, but exactly. If the horse loses, they'll say, "Well, Yaktine, he sucks."
Yep.
If the horse wins, it's man, Baffert sent that horse. Even Yaktine could win with it, right? So,
yeah. Guys, any final thoughts? Well, Jerry's not a fan of Rudy Brissett. Listen, Rudy is employed by the people who send him the cast-offs that Baffert can't handle and Pletcher can't handle. It's a good way to make a living, right? Constant supply.
I would love to know the financial deal between these trainers on the backside of this, because they're 100%. They're not taking these horses and giving no money to Bob when they win races. So I would love to know what the actual financial split is between Yaktine, Brissett, Baffert, SF, all that jazz, because that there's some money changing hands here.
I guarantee you, Bob is getting the higher percentage.
What, 80%, something like that of the check? 80% of the 10% they get. It's got to be a massive. He's still making a ton of money off this too.
Yeah. Well, his lawyer's making the money. This is all the winnings from these horses. Got to go pay Clarkie Brewster.
True. I did get confirmation of the. Let's see if I can hang on here. I did get confirmation of the trainer that will be at Belmont for Messier.
Oh shit! New breaking news.
Yes. I can't. Oh, hang on, it's not letting me upload it. Man, what a bummer. Hang on.
Hang on. I'll play the breaking news clip again. Where is he?
Nothing. There it is.
There he is.
I'm surprised you haven't made the meme yet with the guy with his girlfriend and the girl walking by. We're going to see one of those today. It's going to be like SF, and there's going to be Yakteen is the girl walking by, and Baffert's the girlfriend. I mean, we're going to get a bunch of that meme on Twitter today.
Rob Baffert going to win. You're going to have Yakteen win the the Derby. Bob Baffert will win the Preakness, and Rob will win the Belmont. So there you go.
In a perfect world, this horse would not win the Kentucky Derby because it's really no justice at all. So maybe the horse gods get involved. Although I think the horse gods have fell asleep. They should have gotten involved in the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, where have they been?
Where are those
I used
guys?
to believe in them, but I don't believe in them anymore.
Gentlemen, any final thoughts? This was great entertainment. Thanks everybody in the chat here. If you guys, before you leave, before we wrap things up, if you can hit a like button, there's over 50 watching. We got 6 likes, so give us a thumbs up. We appreciate it. But yeah, any final thoughts, gentlemen?
We will be Blinkers Off will be on this afternoon, early today at 2:30 Central. You guys will be following us at 4. So I'm sure we'll have more to talk about with the old Baffert situation. Of course, we have Derby preps this weekend. Bob Baffert does have one, right, in the UAE Derby. So I'm sure we'll have more to talk about from the Bob Baffert situation. Yeah, I'll add a monocle, Christopher. Okay, I will add a monocle and I'll tweet it out. How about that? You're welcome.
Wait, yeah, Pinehurst can't go to the Derby. He didn't.
No, I guess they couldn't find a trainer over in Dubai to send Pinehurst to this weekend.
What's Fozzie Nass doing? He doesn't have anything going on. Send him some horses.
Is Chad Summers over there? He's usually
Chad's over there.
Pinehurst may never.
Chad would love nothing more than to do that.
Pinehurst may never return to the United States. He may just be like, just stay over there.
It could be bad news for him.
Mike, any final thoughts?
I'm interested to see the rest of the balls that get rolling because of this. I think this is the first step in like probably a 5 or 6 step process where people are going to respond. I'm excited to hear I wish we could get candid comments from some trainers to see what they feel about this and these horses possibly being able to go too. But that probably will never happen. But I'm excited to see what CDI's response is because this is not going to be left alone.
Yeah. Apparently, my tweet was too soon yesterday. I thought it was funny. The flamingo and the goose getting trampled. I thought it was funny.
The goose is fine. The goose returned to the pond.
Oh, okay.
The flamingo.
I thought to me, when I watched it, I was like, I thought the goose was dead. And I thought the flamingo maybe just got a little wing clipped or something. But boy, flamingos must have a very low tolerance, right?
Well, I would say any bird that gets stomped by one of those horses has a pretty low tolerance.
I'm going to take the horse in every scenario there.
I was going to say.
Someone tweeted the ownership of one of the guys that owns the horse was like, we may not have won, but I have to say we're the first ever to kill a bird and the flamingo in the same race. So
today's the anniversary of Randy Johnson hitting a bird with a fastball too.
Oh, missed it by a day. So
bad
close.
day for birds.
Yeah, March. Just stay away, birds. Just don't come out in March.
Yeah, that's a good call. Good call.
All right. Well, Blinkers Off you guys will be on in a little over 2 hours. Magic Mike will be on in a little under 4 hours, and we're covering fairgrounds, all the Derby talk, and of course, I'm sure there'll be some more Bob Baffert news by the time Blinkers Off gets going. So make sure you guys subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell so you know what's going on whenever we have these live breaking news shows, and we'll see you guys.